Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. The upcoming election is here in just a few weeks, and my guest today is Director of the Johnson Center for Political Economy, Scott Beaulier. And what better person to have to talk about politics and the economy as it plays in this upcoming election. Thanks for joining me here today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And as I mentioned, we are looking at a presidential election, and obviously the economy always weighs into where things are going, whether or not the president's coming in, going out, new president elected. What are some of the main issues you're looking at, seeing is going to be a part of this campaign in this election?
Yeah, so I think one of the big ones is unemployment and what's happening with the unemployment rate and what kind of job creation we observe down the stretch here. No election is won in August, and we'll see what happens as we head to the conventions, and then the unemployment statistics for September and October will be very interesting because unemployment is still stubbornly high at 8.3%, and young workers are really struggling to find jobs. And what do the two candidates do to address that? How does Romney position himself in that narrative in terms of, you promised 5.6% unemployment. By this point, President Obama, we're at 8.3%. You failed. Will that become the narrative, or will the narrative remain focused on the rich and the poor and become kind of this class discussion between the two parties?
And you already see that in some of the campaign ads, especially one of Obama's big ads right now is talking about the discrepancy in taxation and Mitt Romney and how he's doing that. Yeah. So is that taxation thing, is that going to affect, because I think that's something that might affect voters more. They're thinking this is affecting my pocketbook more than possibly maybe unemployment or something. So.
Yeah, I think it will, and I don't know how voters are going to respond to this issue that the rich need to pay more and we need to just spread the wealth around a little bit. I think people across the spectrum are fatigued from paying taxes, and if that becomes, kind of the rallying cry of this election, that we're taxed too much, our nation is broke, we're running really big deficits, and we have a $16 trillion debt, then Romney has a pretty good chance. If it remains focused on the illegitimacy of the rich making so much money, and some of the other themes that Obama has focused on, everyone having a right to health care, then he's in pretty good shape. And if you look at the polls right now, it's definitely Obama who's the favorite.
And of course, and that's one of those things that people don't probably factor in, the economics in these elections, even though it's in the back of their mind. No one probably knows, sitting there thinking about how big a role the economy plays in the decision making in this election, right?
Yeah, I think that's true. And presidents have often been reelected during good economic times. Bill Clinton got 2 terms, and the 1990s were a roaring time. It's surprising, though, that Obama is doing as well as he's done, given that the last 4 years in terms of economic performance have been pretty bad. They have been just a very slow, stubborn crawl. People haven't been enjoying much in the way of wage gains. Inflation has been, pretty moot and under control, but there just isn't a lot happening in the economy right now.
And so for the voters out there who are trying to figure out some things, how's the best way to, I guess, analyze the situation and how they feel in picking someone?
It's tough. I think you need to look at and ask yourself as an individual voter, what's the future for the country that I want, and which candidate is addressing that more effectively. When you look at the trajectory America's on right now, spending is increasing rapidly, deficits are mounting, and are either of the two promising to really deal with that, or is it just a continuation of kicking the can down the road where future generations can deal with it, don't ask me hard questions? If that's what your candidate is representing, then I think it's frustrating for you as an individual, and certainly for your children and grandchildren too.
But of course, maybe some of the voters sitting there going, how much can either one of the candidates actually change what's going on in the economy right now? There's a lot of promises, but how much can they actually do?
Yeah, we do put way too much faith on a president, and we attribute too much success to them, and we don't put enough blame on them probably. I think that presidents are, just representatives of us, and their role at times is overplayed in terms of what they do for us.
Well, it certainly sounds like it could potentially be an interesting election, especially with the economy involved there. And I want to thank you for joining me here today, and probably get you here a little bit closer to the election. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these topics. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you.